99.9, the heart and soul of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. WEFM is SVG.
Bringing you the news 24 hours a day, 7 days per week, with a fresh approach. www.999wefm.com. WeFM News, online, on demand.
Good afternoon and welcome to WeFM's Midday News, brought to you with the kind compliments of Court St. Vincent Limited.
Make this season merry with Quartz Ready Cash. Get all you need with a cash loan of up to $20,000 and pay nothing for 90 days. That's right, you pay nothing until 2024. Plus, you can enter to win up to $20,000 in the Ready Cash Mega Money Roadshow. All you need is your ID, proof of address, payslip, job letter, and 2 references. Apply online at shopquartz.com or visit your nearest Quartz or Ready Cash store and make the season merry with Quartz Ready Cash. We are ready when you are. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to WeFM's Midday News, brought to you with the kind compliments of Court St. Vincent Limited. I am your presenter, Rajiv Providence. First, on the local scene, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has made it clear that general elections will not be held here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines until the end of 2025. The Prime Minister made this statement during a press conference held last week to update the nation on his recent travels and other matters of national importance. We hear more from the Prime Minister.
The increased projection of the work that we have been doing is very discombobulating to the opposition, But if you think that you're now discombobulated, you ain't seen nothing yet. And those who think and who opine that election coming this year, well, you have a further 2 years of discombobulation, while I go on and do my work.
That was the Prime Minister, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves led his Unity Labour Party, the ULP, to a 5th consecutive term of office in general elections held on Thursday, November 5th, 2020. The ULP won 9 of the 15 seats at stake, with the other 6 going to the main opposition, the New Democratic Party, the NDP, led by Dr. Godwin Friday. This represented a 1-seat improvement on the 8-7 outcomes in the 2 previous elections in 2015 and 2010. Deputy Director of the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, Kenton Studdard, has emphasized the importance of tsunami readiness in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. While speaking on VC3's Roundtable Talk, he noted that SVG is not immune to threats to livelihood and existence posed by the natural disaster. According to Mr. Studdard, St. Vincent and the Grenadines has been affected by tsunamis 5 times throughout its history. We hear more from NEMO's Deputy Director.
It is important for communities in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to be tsunami ready because it's a real threat to our livelihood, to our existence. Dr. Lachman just indicated that we have had experiences. We have these waves impacting the shores of the Caribbean, countries in the Caribbean over the years. From my recollection, we have experienced just about 4 or 5 tsunamis in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Varying impact. The record for Beckway, the damage level was described as 2. So that means that we had some flooding. It is said that just about over 50 something, between 50 and 100 houses were affected.
That was the Deputy Director of NEMO, Kenton Studdard. Coastal communities from Kingstown to Argyle were recognized during a Tsunami Ready ceremony. These communities completed the UNESCO Tsunami Ready process of assessment, community engagement, simulation exercises, developing standard operating procedures for evacuation and communicating early warning messages at the community level in the event of a tsunami. These communities are the second to be certified as Tsunami Ready in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as Union Island gained recognition in 2020. Still on the local scene, the Kingstown Port Modernization Project is on schedule for completion in 2025. This was confirmed by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves in response to a question from the media during a press conference held last week. He said that during his travels he was engaged in talks with the chairman of the Port Authority, who said that discussions had begun pertaining to the beginning of the process of sourcing equipment for the new port. We hear more from the Prime Minister.
I've been advised by our technical people that they are on schedule. They're on schedule to complete in the middle of 2025. And I can tell you that while I was away, I spoke to the chairman of the port, Mr. Russell, the Port Authority, and our team at the port, the new construction, and the relevant officials in the government have been discussing the question of the commencement for the process for the sourcing of equipment to equip the port, because we'll have to have a lead time as to some types of equipment which we may need. The initial estimate for the equipment, I'm told, is about 16 million US.
That was the Prime Minister, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. The EC $600 million port modernization project is being funded by the Caribbean Development Bank, the British government, and the Export-Import Bank of Taiwan. On to news in the region. Surinamese authorities have reported a suspected case of human trafficking in the country. A blue alert has been launched nationally and internationally pertaining to the disappearance of a group of Pakistani nationals who had arrived in Suriname some time ago. As a result, surrounding countries have been asked to look out for the Pakistanis in a case that is being treated as a possible case of human trafficking, Loop News reports. The police report that the 15 men in question entered the country legally, but did not register at one of the official border posts to leave the country on the day they were supposed to do so. Since then, there has been no trace of them. It is widely believed that these men left Suriname illegally for Guyana. Jamaica's Justice Minister Delroy Chuck, in speaking to hoteliers of the nation, said that low wages won't make it. Minister Chuck said low wages offered in the hotel sector will no longer attract skilled and qualified workers. In discussing the labor shortage being complained about by some in the hospitality industry, the Jamaican Justice Minister said those players must examine the issue of proper compensation for their employees before they consider importing skilled labor. Some workers have often pointed to poor salaries as one of the reasons why they opt to migrate in search of better remuneration. Minister Chuck recounted an interaction he had with some persons who were unemployed. He said when he inquired from them why this was so, they informed him that they started working at a particular hotel, but after a couple of weeks they spent more than half of their money on bus fare than what would they take home to spend on their various needs. On the international scene, medics on the ground in Gaza have warned of mounting casualties among patients, including newborn babies, and concern of spreading disease is growing as Israeli forces approach the gates of Al-Shifa, Gaza City's main hospital. Besieged for days by Israel's military, doctors inside the hospital have reiterated that the lack of fuel for electricity generators is leaving them unable to save patients. Israel has refused to back down, claiming that the hospital hides a Hamas base, Al Jazeera reports. Fighting has been concentrated in a tightening circle around the Gaza Strip's largest hospital, where thousands of civilians have sought shelter. The Israeli military, whose ground forces entered the Strip in late October and quickly encircled the North's main settlement, Gaza City, has said that Al-Shifa is the primary target in its battle to seize control of the northern half of the enclave. Finally, in sports, England's managing director Rob Key has put the blame on himself for England's team's failure at the Cricket World Cup in India. He said his decision to prioritize test matches over the 50-over format ultimately led to their poor performance. The defending champions' hope of reaching the semi-finals were ended by 6 defeats in their first 7 games, BBC Sport reports. Key spoke at length to the media on Sunday morning, 12 hours after England exited the World Cup with a consolation victory against Pakistan in Kolkata. England's managing director Key defended captain Jos Buttler and gave coach Matthew Mott his full backing, while conceding he had not allowed them to prepare with their best team. This has been WEFM's Midday News. I have been your presenter, Rajiv Providence. Join us again at 3 o'clock for WEFM's 3 p.m. news. WeFM's Midday News is brought to you with the kind compliment of Quartz St. Vincent Limited.
Quartz Optical presents Eye Candy. Affordable and stylish eyewear to suit your fashionable style. Save up to 70% off all month long. Get that frame today with no cash and pay later. Schedule your next appointment online today on quartzoptical.com. It's easy and convenient. Treat yourself to some eye candy only at Quartz Optical. Value you can see. Special